Hey, this is part 2 for the dual C-901 tape deck, and I've been working on it between some other things, doing some cleaning on it more than anything, hence the Q-tips. One thing that really is helpful, WD-40 is really good at getting the mold and some of the corrosion off. Just putting it on a towel or a Q-tip and wiping things down. There's white corrosion on this flywheel, it's all gone. Done a couple things, really easy things. This motor needed oiling, and there's lots of videos out there where people take them apart. And here's what I found with taking these motors apart, whether it's in the turntable or in here. Sometimes the act of prying and hammering them apart gets them a little out of shape, and then the shaft binds. When you put it back in, the type of bushings that are in these, it's not a roller bearing or anything like that, just a brass bushing and a hardened steel shaft in it. What I find is actually a solution. There's holes right here, and you can use an oiler like this. You've probably seen me use this before, or a needle oiler, and you can actually look with a flashlight and you can see right to the bearing, and you can get this in there and drop some oil on, let it saturate both back and front. I know it seems like, oh, he's cheating, but I've taken these apart before, put them back together, and made them worse. So what I'm saying is, if you have one that's not making a lot of noise, seems to be working well, and it's just a little tight, try oiling it the simple way first. And then, if you're having problems with it, then take it apart, split the halves. But keep in mind, put some marks so that the halves align when you're done. The other thing I want to talk today about is belts. And I reached out to a few different people that are into these, looking for a belt set, because to buy them online, they weren't cheap. And I found out two things. One is that somebody reached out and did send me a belt set for it, but they're not for this one. They're a mismatch. They're for another model. But that's okay. I appreciate the gesture, and I'll use them for something else. What I found is I actually had a book, like a belt substitution book, that dates to, I think, 1986, I believe. And it was supplied by Allied Electronics and PRB, which is a belt maker. And I looked in the book, and it listed 3 belts. FRX 16.3, a 5.5, and a 7.4. And what that means is, the 16.3, it's basically a flat belt, like this one. Now this one isn't the right size, but it's like a turntable belt. And this one here, if you measure it, first of all, it's not metric, they're imperial measure. But if you put it on the end and give it just a gentle stretch, this one makes it to 9. You double that, so this is actually an FRX 18. That's why it's too loose. And if you look at one of the places that sells belt sets to people, it actually lists it as an 18.3, which must be a typo. I think that's why this isn't the right belt. So you need an alternative. If you're doing this quite a bit, working on turntables and cassette decks and other things, even CD players, there's a couple of belts in those. This is what I've figured out over the last while. Buying individual belt sets can be expensive. Buying belt kits, like these, I bought 3 belt kits from Amazon, that dirty word. Okay. This is a set of square belts. This is varied set of flat belts. And this is smaller square belts. And then I have just a few assorted flat belts. I think 2 are for, one's for techniques, one's for dual there. So what I do with these is, for instance, the flat belt. So what we need is an FRX is a flat belt, basically 4 millimeters wide. So here's an assortment of flat belts from Amazon, and they're actually very reasonably priced for the set. Now time will tell if they stand up. That's the thing. There's some big ones in here. Nope, pass on that one. Pass. Okay, here's one that might be close. I use the clear ruler because it's easier to see through. So that's that's going to be an FRX 21. You double it. And, oh, there's a slightly smaller one. I think we're getting close here. Put that on the end. Stretch. That stretches to about 8.5, so that's going to be 17. Might be workable. Let's see what else we got. Too big. Too big. That might be usable. Okay, now we're getting somewhere, so we're going to give it a little bit of a stretch. 7.5, so that's about a 15. So we're getting close. That's in the running. Too big. Too big. But you see, it was $14.99 for this set of belts, and they're actually silicone belts. And I get people bring me turntables all the time. It's a 20. They're like, can you get this going, buddy? The belt's gone. And they'll say, can you fix it for me? I'll say, I've got a solution, buy a direct drive. Hey, there's the one once you give it a little bit of pressure. That's a 16. Right there. So this one actually has to go over the pulley and then around these two. These are the capstan. This is an early auto reverse. So that's one belt. So let's put that one there. So then we have to find, so this one here was the only one of the set that my friend gave me that actually fit. That's for the counter. So we need an SCX 7.4. So that's kind of a medium-sized square 7.4. That's going to be one of these. I don't know if I want to go too thick on it. It's going to be something like this. So 7.4 is going to be a 3.5. That's about a 4.5. So I'm going to search through those. I don't want to take up too much of your time. But I can cover many turntables, many cassette decks. These one belt setting, this one was $10.99, this one was $14.99, and this one was $14.99 to get these belts. It's about the only options we have because you can buy from a place that specializes in belts. But I was looking at a 3-belt set that had the wrong belt in it. It was going to be almost $70 shipped here. And this is, I mean, we're not even sure how well it's going to work. We want to get some belts. I've been cleaning and lubing. So once I get the belts on and put the backing plate on, I'm going to try it out. And I could have capacitors that are noisy. There's a number of things. I think I have it mostly cleaned up. But I just thought I'd be giving a little progress report on that and maybe some information on belts.